This weekend, Virginia International Raceway and the Sports Car Club of America combined to form a mecca for lovers of sports car racing. Almost 500 drivers in over 20 classes will do battle in a race for the gold. Since 1964, SCCA has been crowning national champions at its annual runoffs, the peak of the Summit Racing Equipment SCCA road racing program. For the second straight year, welcome to the track that Paul Newman once called Heaven on Earth, for the historic 60th annual SCCA Runoffs. Again, for the second straight year and the third time in its history, the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs in its 60th anniversary year returns to Virginia International Raceway on the Virginia-North Carolina border, and it is a glorious afternoon to go racing. Temperatures in the high 70s, and we are going after a national championship in one of the older classes in SCCA competition, H Production. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Larry McLeod, and covering the action as we do the run for the gold in H Production down in the pit lane is Hayward Wagner. And Hayward, this one was an eventful and absolutely a thrilling race last year. We expect the same this year. Welcome to the broadcast.
Boy, H-Prod never fails to deliver, does it? These are high-strung four-cylinder engines. Used to be all the LBCs, the little British cars, but over the last couple of years, the tin tops have come into at least comfort, if not dominance. We're going to take a look at a couple of them. Griff Schaafsma, your defending national champion, he spent his winter learning carbon fiber. This is all carbon here. This is all carbon. He's got carbon flares around the fenders. Just a beautiful car, but it's still a prod car. We know this because if you look in the back of it, the ballast is a bunch of brake rotors bolted to the bottom of the car. Low tech, high tech coming together. Of course, this is the venerable Steve Sargis and his Spitfire. Generally speaking, when Steve's made it to the end of the race, he has won, but this car is probably the most temperamental of the bunch. And then we have to end here with Chris Albin's Volkswagen. This car has seen a thing or two in its time. It famously took flight at Howard a couple of years ago. You see there's still some dents in the roof. If this car comes to the runoffs next year and the color is listed as anything but patina, I'm going to call him out on it.
Absolutely. Look at that. That car has been, what's the word when they, antiqued over the years. But third, amazing qualifying run for Chris Albin here. Just a superb job. And, of course, we have 15 laps ahead of us on one of the great challenges, as well as just a beautiful venue here, Virginia International Raceway. Let's take a look at our Mazda track map. And I'll tell you what, Larry, this is three very different sectors here, and it's a setup nightmare.
It is. In fact, it's kind of built for H-Prod because of the different cars. And I'll tell you what, Sector 1, it's all about the long sweepies, the twisties. You got the horseshoe of 1, you get the NASCAR at 3, the left hook at 4. Then they start all the transitions. It's the lower S's or the snake. And then finally the climbing S's, where we had an epic battle a year ago with Sargis and Schaafsma down around turn 10, that great flick they have to do around the South Bend. And then they all have to start the launching point. Turn 12, Oak Tree. The Oak Tree is not there anymore. Son of Oak Tree is off to the side, but the corner is still the most important on the track. And this is where horsepower plays, and not everybody has it. All the way to the top of the roller coaster, they'll be drafting. They'll get to the roller coaster, and we might see a couple times 2 wide, who knows, maybe 3, as they go down the roller coaster into Hog Pen. This class puts on a wonderful show. These are drivers that build these cars for life, and this is going to be an absolute blast to watch them. It's like this track was built for this class.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see right there just a minute ago that final turn, Hog Pen, so crucial as well, and so tricky and difficult to deal with here as this field is getting on its way here. Sweepies and twisties. I love it when you get technical. I'm going to borrow that. All right, it's a big field. Let's go through it here for H Production. His first ever tire rack pole position for the number 1 of Chris Schaafsma out of Wheaton, Illinois, Chicago region in that VW. Starting second, the number 18, 9-time gold medalist, 21 medals, total for the 18 of Steve Sargis out of Hartford, Wisconsin, Blackhawk Valley region, the Hoosier Carbotech Triumph Spitfire. In that third spot, we talked about Chris Albin out of Maryland Heights, Missouri, in the over-the-limit racing Hoosier VW Golf. Starting in the fourth spot, the 199, Mike Ogren from Central Florida region. He's out of Dunedin, Florida, in the MO Motorsports ProTech Racing Scirocco. Starting in the fifth spot, the number 36, Will Perry, making his fourth runoff start out of Sale Creek, Tennessee, the Rivergate 5-speed Honda CRX. Starting in the sixth spot, his sixth runoff start for the 11 of Enrique Benazik out of Farmingdale, New York, the New York region in that Honda Civic. Starting in the seventh spot, his eighth runoff start for number 60, Vesa Silegren, second last year, and he had a gold in this category at VIR back in 19. He's always quick here in his Honda CRX. Starting in the eighth spot, his fourth runoff start, the 00 of Jason LaManna out of Rochester, New York, in his Rabbit. Starting in the ninth spot, 11th runoff start for the 7 of William Trainer in the Rabbit. Starting in the 10th spot, another former gold medalist in 2011 at Road America, the number 15 of Greg Gopper, his 20th start here at the runoff. Starting in the 11th spot, his fourth runoff start for the 42 of Angus Crome. Starting in the 12th spot, a fourth runoff start for the 38 of Scott Heilman. Starting in the 13th spot, his sixth runoff start for the 80 of Kendall Jones. 14th spot, the 08, making his fifth runoff start, is Matthew Benazik. Starting in the 15th spot, the 06 will be making his 16th start. That's Joe Camilleri. Starting in the 16th spot, 14th runoff start for the 98 of Michael Miller. Then in the 17th spot, second runoff start for the number 5 of Charlie Guest. In the 18th spot, eighth runoff start for 19 Frank Schwartz. He already has a race under his belt here this weekend. 19th spot, 11th runoff start for Vincent Lamont in the number 84. Starting in the 20th spot, his 11th runoff start for the 75 of Jack Schultz. And then in the 21st spot, the 25, another venerable driver, the 81 of Jerry Olison out of Aurora, Colorado. Starting in the 22nd spot, fifth runoff start for the 53 of Edward Wary. And then in the 23rd spot, the number 90, 14th start for Tom Broering. And in the 24th spot, fifth start for John Fine in the number 69. And rounding out the field, a rookie, Taylor Hyatt out of Fayetteville, Pennsylvania, driving the number 131, starting in that 25th spot. Last year's hard charger was Jack Schultz, going from 20th to 11th. He's in 20th again. Maybe he can grab himself another Sunoco hard charger. Again. The stars might align.
You mentioned that number 131, Taylor Hyatt. Well, today is her 31st birthday, running in that number 131. Her and her dad both entered here in this runoff. It's great to see her in this field. We'll see what kind of hard charger effort she can put in today.
It'll be great to see lots of opportunities to earn some specific awards here. Of course, as I said, it was Chris Schaafsma, the number 1. There is the number 131, the birthday girl for Taylor. But Chris Schaafsma getting that coveted Tire Rack Pole Award as that field now heading down here. As you said, such a variety of cars, different drivetrains, all kinds of different approaches. What are you expecting to see here in this first lap, and more importantly, that first long turn one?
Defending champ Chris Schaafsma and the two-time, 9 overall, the previous two to that, Steve Sargis, those two put on an epic battle. They were swapping positions side by side through the uphill S's. It was amazing. They are right now class in the field. If you look at qualifying, they're both in the low 214s. Almost 2 seconds to Chris Albin, Mike Ogren, Will Perry, and on back. It is a big gap, but that means that if these two have any issues, the race behind them is going to be epic. I'm telling you, the Scirocco that's right there is an absolute rocket ship in a straight line. That's Mike Ogren. The Hondas of Will Perry, as well as Vesa Silegren, are very strong. Vesa won this race in 2019. This is going to be a good one, a great barn burner top to bottom.
Yeah, and this is Sargis, I didn't mention it, 39th start at the runoffs, one of the real legends and veterans here. And on to the front straight we go. Big thanks once again to the folks at Mazda and Durst Mazda in Durham, North Carolina, for providing all of our pace and safety vehicles. And here we go. The run for the gold in H Production coming up for the start. And watching with you here, we're green. H Production is underway, and Schaafsma getting a nice start. And as a matter of fact, Albin might be able to get up and underneath Sargis. And look at that big move. That is Will Perry, that red Honda, diving to the inside. Sargis has to be really careful here because some of them might not have seen him. Oh, he was so close to the edge of the track. Kept it together, but he's going to go from second to fourth unless he's got a great line in here. He does, gets underneath Albin. And now, look at that move underneath Perry. Sargis, he just flows speed and he's got position now. He might be back in second, but bad news for everybody else is Schaafsma suddenly got a margin.
Yeah, he's got that strong motor. The car is slippery. You saw the carbon work that he's done over the winter. That car got a great start. Sargis, we've seen this before. The LBCs, Little British cars, don't get great launches on these start. He got rushed a little bit by the Hondas and the other Volkswagen, but as soon as he gets to those long sweepers, Sargis picks up his liquid speed and off he goes. Now he can try and chase down Chris Schaafsma out in front. But watch for Albin. That car was on full jacks at about 9 o'clock last night. The suspension that was on it had a blown shock. It was no good. Chris Schaafsma gives him his spare suspension for Chris Albin. So the two Chris's swapping parts last night. The team gets the car together. So Albin, first time he goes in and at speed, is on a brand new suspension.
All right, keeping an eye here. Oop, the Honda Fit having a rough ride up and over the curbs there. Gathered it up again, but pretty rough ride there. That was Edward Wary, the number 53, and was able to straight line it and get it back on track. But look at the margin now that Schaafsma has. But now that Steve Sargis, he's got a little room. And he can start to get some heat in those tires. And you said liquid speed, and I've always loved that term because you watch him. There's no slides. There's nothing. He just flows speed through the corners, and he's so easy on tires that at the end of the race, he's usually easily the quickest car out there.
I would love to get a heart rate monitor on him during the course of a race because I've talked to him a bunch. He is the coolest cat you will ever meet. Nothing, I don't think, could ever shake him. So a start like this where he goes from second to fifth for a moment, and all of a sudden he just casually says, guys, I'm coming through, makes a move, nothing dramatic, nothing out of place, and now I'm sure he's not nervous. He's like, okay, I'll reel him back in. We'll get there. It's a long race. That's just the way he is, and we'll watch that. Will Perry might be a little bit more anxious to get up there and make this push.
And Perry started in fifth. He's already up into third here. He qualified third last year, and in 2019 here, he ended up second, so he's gotten awfully close to that medal. So Perry is going to be hungry and getting after it early here. And watching here, Chris Albin has seemed to have, or maybe not, I guess, this is the 199 here of Ogren. And Ogren qualified in that fourth spot, was third last year, but he had a problematic start, dropped back a little bit. There's Albin.
He did, but as I mentioned, that thing's a rocket ship in a straight line. He's got the field covered when it comes to trap speed already, about 5 miles an hour faster the first time they went down the back straight. Let's see what he can do this time. I think that's Vesa Silegren in front of him, the 2019 champ in this class. Now, Vesa was involved in a pretty serious wreck in 21 in Indianapolis. All new shell. This thing had to get rebuilt, so it's taken him a year or so. We'll see if Vesa's got the speed back he showed here in 19.
And it's really cool for me, I've got to say this, watching Perry, watching Vesa out here dueling for medals here at the runoffs, because my first experience with them was at the ARC that would run at Road Atlanta, and they were driving IT cars, which is a regional-only class, but were dominators there. And, in that class, the guys that run up front are good, and they have just simply shown that here by being remarkable at the runoffs, and now in full majors competition, they're always there.
Well, this is where IT cars land when you come into a runoffs eligible classes here in H production. It's part of the limited prep rules. So it's great to see those cars and those drivers coming out. That's part of the massive popularity. But look at the size of this field, 25 cars taking the green flag here. It really shows you this is what people want to race. They want to race these cars that are economical and fun. The parts are out there. You can make them run. They all share parts, like I was talking about with Schaafsma and Albin there. Everybody loves to keep each other running. This is a great big family field, and it's a ton of fun.
Well, it is. And, this, class, when it was strictly for, the old roadsters and stuff, getting harder to get parts and the cost to get parts and everything, the class started to wane. And when they came up with the limited prep concept, so the full-on H-Prod cars can still run, but then you get these cars, a lot less prep, but they're more modern, so just, everything works a little bit better. And they've got the balance right here, because you got a Sargis that is, qualifying second to that VW Golf, and it's two vastly different generations of cars, and it works.
It really does. They come together in different places. And that's why I said this track almost feels like it's built for him, because everyone's got their different strengths. Sargis here in Sector 1, he's probably going to be faster, although Schaafsma showing that doesn't necessarily have to be the case, as he's faster in all three sectors right now. But Sargis can be. That car floats around. It uses that nice low-slung grip that the car has. But you get to the back straight, and it's those Scirocco's, whether it be the Scirocco of Ogren or William Traynor. They both have crazy power down the straight line speed. And then you've got the other Volkswagens like this one here, Schaafsma, that kind of do everything pretty well. They're not necessarily fastest in a straight line, not necessarily the most balanced, but they make it work. And Schaafsma's just driving the wheels off of it right now, trying to pull away from that little Spitfire behind him. But Sargis isn't going anywhere.
No, Steve's not going to go anywhere. He's just relentless, and his speed just doesn't change much. But it just gets a little quicker, relative to everybody else here. Good little scrap here. That's the 60 of Vesa Silegren running in that 6th spot right now, chasing the 11 of Enric Benazik, but he's got Ogren that is coming up on his 6 pretty quickly. And Jason LaManna doing a nice job there in that 0-0 rabbit out of Rochester, New York, sitting in that 8th spot.
Yeah, LaManna, one of the drivers, I believe, out here on the Goodyear. So we'll see how that plays out over the course of a long run. And but you look at Rick Benazik up there, so he just goes by Rick, and that he's got his son in this field as well. So you got the 2 Benaziks. They're not yet together on track yet. Matt Benazik down in 11th right now, but great. He's out there racing with his son. I mentioned how everybody acts like a family. In some cases, they really are. Yeah,
and you love that, don't you? Because this is a family sport. SCCA is all about family. And we had that shot there, the 0-0 of Jason LaManna. He is our Sunoco 260 Tuesday winner, and it's a fun promotional award come up with by Sunoco to promote their 260 fuel, and it's in Tuesday qualifying. Whatever driver in each class that gets closest after the dot in their times to 260 gets a rather significant allotment of racing fuel, and I'm sure some nice swag and everything as well from the folks at Sunoco. And there we go. But look at this. Albin had dropped behind Will Perry, and Chris Albin just turned a lap at a 2:17.5, Perry at 2:18.8, and Albin able to get through back into medal contention.
He's liking that suspension that Schaafsma was able to loan him, so it's working for Albin. We saw him qualify 3rd on what was a dead suspension, and here he is back to running 3rd. Very, very strong for the veteran.
Yeah, and when you find that kind of speed, when you've got a dead shock, and then you get it replaced and you come out, and that car now seems truly lively, like it's supposed to. He has to have a grin underneath that helmet that is just ear to ear right now.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is why Schaafsma is so fast. I get it now. So the confidence builds lap after lap after lap, as now you got more passes. That Silegren going around the Scirocco there of Ogren.
Got through, and now Ogren going to try and get back. They've been swapping spots here a couple of times. And Ogren, here we go through South Bend, and you can see that Silegren just lets it have a little bit more head. But look at this now. Jason LaManna thinks about an outside move. That's going to pinch Ogren just a little bit. He can't get quite the arc into the turn that he wanted, and we'll see now whether that benefits LaManna on this long run down the straights here. Fastest trap speed we've seen is about 120 miles an hour, but I don't know who set it. So we'll keep eyeballing stuff here and see. You think it's Traynor?
Yep. Traynor there is one.
Yep, there you go.
Scirocco. That silver Scirocco is between Ogren and Traynor. They've got great straight line speed. Traynor this time didn't get the best run, and he's worried a little bit behind him with LaManna. Or sorry, Ogren didn't get the best exit there. And now we'll look at a little bit of lockup going down roller coaster.
And these guys obviously pushing hard here. This is the National Championship. And even though, it's the winner takes all in terms of the National Championship, you do have medals for the 3 podium spots, but you also have the satisfaction of having driven a hard race, didn't leave anything on the track in the National Championship Runoffs, and that's an award in and of itself. Going a little bit deeper in the field, here's some of this great scrapping as well. That is the 84 of that's Vincent LaManna, and under some pretty good pressure here for the number 98 of Michael Miller, and this train behind the driver of that B-Spec car. Normally, if it would have been running in pure stock, that Honda Fit right in the mix, who had that early off, but is coming back up through the pack as well.
Yeah, great recovery there for him.
That is Edward Wary, and and like I said, this is one of the cool things. No matter where you are in the field here, you find somebody to race, and then you just have absolutely great. And you see that mini coupe I think that's what they're calling it nowadays. And that's Frank Schwartz, and he has a race under his belt in another version of that car already, right to the edge there. And on Wednesday, they have an award called the Hawk Performance Breakthrough Award, and it's for the driver who has the biggest gain in position from Tuesday to Wednesday qualifying, and that went to him. So pretty eventful week. And what's cool too is,
obviously
all kinds of opportunity here to earn some pretty significant awards and really benefit from them here. And here we go. This is Enric Benezik in that number 11. Little bit of margin over Silegren, but boy, it evaporates up in Ogren.
Yeah, Rick's got a pretty good motor in that thing. He was talking about between he and his son Matt. Matt's a little jealous that his dad Rick has a better engine and pulls down these straights. And right now, I think Vesa Silegren there in the number 60, seeing exactly how strong that would should be very similar Hondas, same generations of the CRX and Civic. You would think they'd be similar. Finally, it looks like Vesa's close enough to get a draft. Let's see if he can make the pass.
And the thing is, you go to that side, you can make it. Boy, did he. I thought it was going to be contested a little bit more, but I was going to say, you go to that side, you've got to clear early, and he did exactly that. So that's going to put Vesa now up into that top 5, and Enric Benezik sitting now in the 6th spot. I love your thing about Matthew saying he's unhappy, and my only question would be, who pays for the builds and who does the builds? If that's Dad. Dad gets the best engine.
That may have been part of the conversation over there, was who does pay for this stuff. But you know what? We were talking all about sharing data between the father and the son. They're going to start doing a lot more of that going forward, and that's part of what this is. They end up becoming teammates as much as father-son, and I think that's great. Coming from a situation like that, I just feel that's great. It's a great way to bond with your son. Long after they're old enough to be on their own, you can still go to the racetrack just like they were when you were throwing the ball with them in the backyard.
Yeah, and that's really cool, isn't it? Very special indeed. Schaafsma up the road by a little over 4 seconds to Sargis. Sargis has about 7 seconds to Albin. Then things get a little bit more snug. Perry's still there. Then this great battle for 5th. Silegren, Benezik, Ogren, Lamana, all in this scrap. Oh, and Ogren, just a second there, and he got ramped around the outside. But Benezik in a big off here by the number 38. And that is Scott Heilman, in that VW Scirocco. And looked like he may have knocked a piece of that splitter off up in the front, but he's back at it.
A little wiggle the wheel to see if it's all connected. We're going to get a shot of him coming down into 1. Downhill braking. He's the lead car here. And just a lot lock up of that right front.
Yep.
Just doesn't quite get it wound down right in front of, I think that might be Matt Benezik, that he just went right around him.
I think you're right. And you wonder in those scenarios, in the 75, Jack Schultz having an off here in the midget, one of the, the original prod cars. Yeah, that is a nasty spot. But when you see an off like that, when somebody's pressuring you, you wonder that last glance into the mirror, and then you look down and you realize you just missed your braking point.
Yep, didn't quite get it wound down enough. But that downhill braking from a very, very fast front straightaway is a tough braking zone. We've seen that happen all weekend. People locking up that right front. And, unfortunately for him, he's going to have to gather back up. I'm hoping they get that car cleared down there. Because right there, it was right coming off a hog pen. That is a very tough spot to have a car sit. So hopefully he's gotten out of the way. I'm sure we'll soon find out as the crowd is coming that way.
Yeah, here we come right now. And tell you what, at this stage, Benezik in the 11 and Ogren in the 199, the guys in front and the guys in back are just sort of there. And these two, though, are absolutely hammer and tong for position right now. And they've swapped it a few times here. That black number 11, Benezik, has that spot right now in 6th. And it looks like that car gets, either it's just a better drive, that Civic, out of hog pen, or it's got a little bit of leg.
It definitely does. He's got a lot. And that's saying something because, again, the Scirocco's generally are really good in a straight line. Could be better gearing for that Honda, or maybe it's just getting a better run so he gets started earlier and the Scirocco take an extra second. Is that a little puff of smoke?
A little bit of smoke from the back of Ogren. Yeah, we were just looking at that. And, some of these cars, you see that on occasion. And the thing is, does it get worse? And that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on, obviously, here as they turn into left hook. And sets you off in the 131.
That's Taylor.
The birthday girl is out.
That's terrible.
That's such a shame. Report is a possible engine blow up. And a great job by Taylor. She got that car into a safe area behind the barriers and allows the rest of the race to go. Oh, yeah, big plume of smoke there.
Yep, but out of the way enough that we can keep going on full green. That's a good thing. And I'm sure Taylor will be back next year ready to fight.
Oh, you know that. And speaking of fighting, how about this? You can see Perry all by his lonesome right now in that 4th spot. And then here we go, Ogren and Benazik side by each. And just surprising Ogren completely as he was trying to figure out what to do with Benazik. Up the inside, slices the 0-0. Jason LaManna, that was an opportunistic pass.
That's a great move. I think a couple times before we had seen him where he looked like he wanted to go alongside somebody and didn't quite have the window. That time he sort of made the window and was able to get that move done. Now he's going to try and see what he can do behind Benazik as they're both still chasing Vesa. Vesa's setting a pretty good pace. They want to catch that other red CRX, Will Perry, for 4th up ahead, so they better watch how much they fight or they'll never get there.
I wonder if LaManna maybe had been just laying back watching this and saving a little tire and now feels, all right, I might be able to do something here. And he is attacking now already on the 11 of Benazik as they come down through the hill and the roller coaster down to the bottom here onto the front straight out of Hogpen. You can see a little wider line there by Silegren. And let's see what LaManna has. And Ogren actually gets a huge run, pops to the outside. And Ogren is he going to take this spot back from LaManna? Let's see here. No, not quite enough. Tucks back in. So this battle for the 5th spot settles just a smidge. And as I say that, Benazik late on the brakes. Silegren turns in. Benazik keeps that nose pin there, trying to get a little overlap. Squares up the drive out of the turn. They are side by side here. And it looks like Silegren has the position, comes back through, and hangs on to that 5th spot. But Benazik looking everywhere, and LaManna gets a monster run. And now LaManna get a straight line to the apex and realizes that door just shut, checks out of it. And now you would think through the snake, they're going to go line astern here for just a little bit. So as this settles down just a little bit, we want to say a big thank you to some of the partners that make an event like this possible.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, on the way home after a day at the track. And say you have an accident. Ouch! But at least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Your standard insurance probably won't pay to replace your car. That's true whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or in the repair shop. If you want to be covered for the whole value of your race car, you need guaranteed value coverage from Hagerty. We agree on an accurate value up front, and in event of a covered total loss anywhere off the track, we pay that amount. You'll be protected in storage, in transit, in the paddock, or a repair shop against collision, fire, theft, no matter what or where you race. All for less per year than you spend on a set of racing tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
A car like this shouldn't exist. Something this big, this luxurious, shouldn't move like a Mazda. And yet, it does.
Oh my God, it sounds epic as well. This car is an SUV with bragging rights.
The 3-row Mazda CX-90.
We are back. Chris Schaafsma in this beautiful orange and white VW Golf that has support for him from Hoosier, Racekeeper, G-Lock Brakes, and NGP. Continues to lead from the tire rack pole. And the interesting thing here, we've been talking about Larry Sargis maybe as the race gets a little deeper in. He is so smooth. He's so easy on tire. That car is easy on tire that he might start to close up. While we were in break, he turned a lap that was a bit quicker than Schaafsma. And right before we came back, you pointed to the timing monitor and said, Schaafsma got the memo.
Yes, he did. He responded and did his own lap in the mid-15s to Sargis' mid-16s. So went right back out to that nearly 5-second gap. Schaafsma knows how to manage this race. So doing a wonderful job of getting this car to the finish on that top step. And this battle hasn't changed a lick in the whole 2 minutes we were gone.
Yeah, they are just at it here. The proverbial blanket covering the number 11 of Benazik. And whoa, and a spin there by Jerry Olison. He's one of our real veteran competitors, has been doing this for a long time. This is his 25th start. And let's see what happened here.
Oh, he just kind of turned in and just sort of snap steered on him. just as he kind of released the brake, like maybe a little bit too much trail brake in that little car. And Frank Schwartz, the next one through, kind of says, okay, I'll just avoid you, go to the inside. Let's hope he gets that thing moving.
The way that thing just snapped, I almost wonder if he mistimed the blip of the heel and toe on the downshift.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, these guys just continuing this battle. And Silegren, last time by, but Benazik was up there, and Silegren has gone through. So these four, it's just hammer and tong here, and this is for that last spot in the top 5. And if you can't be on the podium here, you want a top 5. That's one of those markers, if you will. And you see on the back of Schaafsma car, folks, I just wanted to mention, it says thanks workers on that rear deck.
Yep.
And that is the essence of SCCA. It's a members club. And this is their runoffs, too.
Yeah.
And there are workers out in the corner, Larry. They do pit, they do grid, they do tech, they do scoring. And the drivers understand that they can't come out here and do this if they don't have a large cadre of workers to make everything unfold. And make no mistake, folks, the workers are every bit as passionate about this sport as these drivers are. They just may not have the wherewithal financially. They may not have the skill. They may not have the time.
Sure.
But they're here because they love it, too.
Or even the desire to drive. A lot of these workers just want to come out and be a part of this thing.
They just love watching.
And they are good partiers all week long. They have some really good worker parties. They'll be hanging out in paddock late at night because they don't have to get up and drive the next day. They just have to go stand in the corner and stand in the hot sun all day long, or the rain or the snow or whatever else is out there, and get drained out. But they love every bit of it, and it's awesome. It's a good mixture of workers and drivers. One big club.
It is. Well, that's it, isn't it? And, during the season, you spend a lot of time racing in your division. There's 115 regions that are broken in now, I think, to 9 divisions, I think it is now.
Something like that.
And so you've got these divisional championships and everything. But once a year, you go to the runoffs, and you talk to a lot of people, and, another engine issue.
The other Lamana.
Oh, no, that is such a shame. You can see it here offline. Hopefully, I'm not seeing any kind of trail of oil right now. There's just nowhere for him to go down now. He jukes it off here and is going to tuck it over past pit out. And that is a great job, but a real shame for Vince Lamana here in that Hoosier Key Systems racekeeper, VW Rabbit. But just to finish my thought real quick, is once a year you come here and, you talk to a lot of the workers, and the phrase they use the most is, "This is our family reunion."
Yeah, they get to come out here because the flaggers and workers that are on the West Coast and the ones that are on the East Coast never get to see each other. They go to the runoffs. They all get to come together. You get the best specialists all here together, and this is exactly it. It is a big family reunion. So look at this little group in here. I think that's Greg Galper, Angus Chrome, Will Trainer.
Yeah.
And a Honda and a couple of Volkswagens doing the thing. Look at this. We made up with a 3 wide here on the back straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gauper, a former gold medalist in this category, came a number of years ago, 2011 at Road America.
Spin.
Oh, and a spin there.
Kendall Jones.
Oh, what a shame. Obviously, late in the race, you hate to see this stuff happen. But, this is when tires are starting to go away. And if you've been really wheeling it here, you're pushing really hard. William Trainer right there, Gauper in the middle here. And then the number 42 of Angus Chrome, as you talked about here. So these guys are swapping positions left and right for this 9th spot.
Yeah, they are. And they're having their own great battle again. This is that 9, 10, 11 battle, just as strong as the 4, 5, 6, 7 battle. And, it just happens up and down. They found themselves a really great race.
It looked like Trainer was going into the pits there.
Just off to the right, but this is Will Perry has been caught by Vesa Silegren and the rest of the gang, the Rick Benazik, Jason Lamont, Mike Ogren. It is now a 5-car train for 4th place.
Yeah, Perry's last lap was a 220.2. Silegren et al. Were in the low 218, so they're making up some time. Oh, and that's going to be maybe contact. How did they avoid that? Enrique Benazik, clipped a curb and looked like he was going to slam right over into the side of Ogren, and somehow they avoided contact. But something's gone off on Perry's car, or did he get some traffic?
I wonder if he's got a gearbox issue, because the way he came out of Snake there, like he just couldn't find the shift, and the whole field suddenly almost went around him, because now he's fine, right?
Yeah.
Let's see how he comes off Oak Tree, because now you're back into, he's got to get the downshifts done, right? He's got to get this run off of here. Can he get the shifts done? Again, mid-corner, look how slow he is. I think he's having trouble getting that thing into gear.
Yeah, floated wide on him as well, missed the apex, and Silegren and Perry have raced each other in IT over the years, and same story. They're just back doing what they love to do. Yeah, and Perry's got an issue because he's just struggling. And you're right, maybe it's just problem shifting.
Because he seems to have the speed okay, although there's a touch of smoke coming out of that thing, so maybe there's something else But look at he's drag racing everybody. He's gonna have to slip in behind Ogren there in this train. But what all of this does is put Vesa Silegren, who was on the podium a year ago, he won this race in 19. Now he's up to 4th.
And he's hauled Benezik, Lamana, Ogren with him here at this stage. And look at just the battling these guys are doing is spectacular at this point.
And Benezik's got motor. We've watched him do this over and over again. The two Hondas will pull away. Lamana in the white Rabbit there can't really do much about it. But watch these Hondas just pull and pull. Now you got the Scirocco, who's got a little bit more top end maybe than Lamana. Doesn't close up entirely. But you see that gap? And they just start to roll on through. And Lamana seems to be better on turn in and that initial sweep. So watch Lamana be right under the back of a Benezik all the way here through 1.
Absolutely. And you talked about it looked like the 11 of Benezik has pace. On the last lap, he went 116 miles an hour down that back straight, which matched what Schaafsma was doing on that lap. So, yeah, Benezik has straight line speed. So if he can be close here, a big lunge. And as a result, double lockup. And the 0 of Lamana, he locked up and slid in as Benezik realized he was coming and tried to lock up and get out of the way. And contact for those two cars, damage to the front of Lamana's car. We haven't really seen yet how bad the damage might be to Benezik and whether he'll be able to continue.
Oh, Lamana, that's an aggressive move that unfortunately when it locked up, they both became passengers sliding along. If he didn't lock up, maybe he makes a stick, but that's an aggressive move. So you see him come around NASCAR here. Benezik goes to the normal exit line. Look at Lamana. He'll just go inside saying, I can do this. But as soon as he locks up, right there, it's done. There's nothing he can do. Can't turn in, and off they go and contact.
And the problem there, too, for Benezik was as Lamana locked up, but Benezik locked up, too, on that outer line, and he couldn't release it. Wow.
Something's up with Schaafsma. As all of a sudden, Schaafsma slowed up a bunch here on this last sector. I don't know if he had a shifting issue there as well because his back straight isn't where he was. And now look at that, Steve. Is that Sargis? Is that Broering?
That's Broering, I think.
That scared us a little bit. That is Broering, the other Spitfire in the field.
For a second there, that caught us out. But what I was saying with Benezik, if we look at that replay again at some point, he locked up too, and as soon as he locked up, he couldn't open the wheel up or anything and hold control. But I don't think it was going to make a lot of difference because Lamana was already going to clock him.
Yeah, Tom Broering getting mistaken for Steve Sargis. Probably not the first time. Tom's just happy his race last year didn't go as his plan was, so he's happy to be out there. That is Steve Sargis there in the number 18.
And I'm not sure, especially in those colors, I'm not sure there's a prettier car in the racetrack here. It is just gorgeous. And he is something of a perfectionist, and in his driving, in his prep, and in his presentation. And he's just a joy to watch. Just so fast, so smooth, and so good on tires. But for this one, he just doesn't have that straight line pace that he needs.
Yeah, he doesn't have that. I'm telling you, Schaafsma has it everywhere. In fact, Schaafsma's right now got all 3 sectors covered with fastest sector times. He's got fastest lap of the race at a 14.7. The record coming in was Ron Bartel back in 19, ran a 15.0. So new track record for Schaafsma. Right now, he's just thinking, counting laps. I got to get around this place 2.5 more times. Just do what I do. Now, that is Tom Broering there in that number 90 again. Easy mistake, the black Spitfire. He's happy to run it. He and his wife, of course, both racers. A big slide there for Sargis. Unusual. I wondered again if he was having issues getting pop the clutch there on the way in because it just sort of slapped a little bit on the way in. But we'll go back to this other battle. That's the 42's Anga Chrome, and that's Greg Galper in the 15.
Yeah, and they've obviously with the off by Benezik and the like, everybody advances here. But trying to see because there was another driver who was involved in this battle for a while.
They had Lamana, of course, that was involved with Rick Benezik.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So that was the issue, and so these two right now duking it out for the 7th spot. And, keeping an eye here, Will Perry, that last lap, ran a 2:21, so he's still a little bit quicker than Galper and Chrome. And, right now sits in that 6th spot. But Silegren, how far off of Albin is he? A ways at this stage, about 9 seconds back. So unless Chris Albin has some sort of an issue, as we are now starting, we have 2 laps to go at this stage here. And here is Will Perry, who had such a solid run going in that fourth spot, and then something has developed on that car.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. There's John Fine there in that number 69 Honda Civic. That looks like he's also gotten around Will. And Will, yeah, like you said, he was running in third for quite a bit, then had a good, strong running in fourth. And now here he is. But he looks at times like he's got the pace, and other times he just doesn't. The other red CRX course, that's Vesa, who is up into that fourth spot.
Sits in fourth right now, and Ogren right there behind him at this stage. Close enough to be in striking distance, but not quite close enough to strike into turn one.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see what Ogren can do here in these last couple of laps.
Yeah, for Vesa, he's got great straight line speed, and he's very smooth corner exit as well. The cars, I think on corner entry, the Mono was a little quicker before, but the CRX doing a fantastic job in a lot of areas to make a good lap. And you can look at the movement in the Scirocco there of Ogren. He's struggling a little bit sometimes at peak loading of that car. It just sort of has a hop, a bit of a bounce to it. You can see it there across the curbs coming through 5. It's got the straight line speed, but needs a little bit of a tweak on the handling for that car to be a contender.
I'm watching here. We just saw that shot of the 69 of John Fine. And that car, I'm not sure if it's the same one, but a long time ago at the Arc, for 2 years, I ran a couple of Enduros with his brother Mike in a Honda Civic. I don't know if it's the same car, but sure brings back some fun memories. And, a reason that we just love SCCA is that as well. Nothing better than bench racing, right?
Yep.
Talking stories about way back when, and absolutely loving it here. But boy, Schaafsma coming around looking for that white flag, and has just continued to stretch that margin. Sargis consistently about a second off. Schaafsma stretching that margin by about a second a lap, and the white flag out one more time, and he's going to head around at the front of this and could end up being one of the guys, and it's super special to win one. It's even better to defend, and boy, he's going to do it with speed.
Yeah, you'd think on lap 14 he'd be putting in cruise control. Chris Schaafsma just reset fastest lap of the race. I was watching this, but he was right on top of Sector 1, again in Sector 2, but I thought, there's no way he's going to set one in Sector 3. He'll break early, he'll do something. Oh, no, he goes and set fastest full-on time in Sector 3, which includes the 2 straightaways, for a 2:14.6. He's reset fastest lap of the race and lap record one more time, and now he's got the traffic in front of him. He might just sort of back off a little bit instead of getting involved with whatever race these guys might be in.
Well, that's one of the nice things when you've got pace to build up a nice lead, is when you catch traffic, now you can be a bit patient. Pick your spots, take no risk at this stage. So if Sargis was right on his 6, you have to get aggressive. You got to get through, and that's when things can go, pineapple shape. So, now just nice and patient, and you see the cars, the workers doing a great job. Those corner workers getting those blue flags out there, which technically, folks, everybody calls it the passing flag, but it means check your mirrors.
Yep.
And those workers do a great job, and if the drivers are paying attention, they look in the mirror, see a guy, they know who's fast in this class when they're looking at the timesheets, and they just drive their line, let somebody get through here. So Schaafsma, last time down Madison Avenue.
I think it was Joe Camilleri there in that Scirocco that sees that flag. This is check your mirrors, and he does exactly that. So good job for Joe recognizing and giving that full-on inside line to race leader Chris Schaafsma. And Schaafsma has just been smooth this entire race, really never under a threat from the time they sorted things out going left hook on lap 1, and has just been flying around here. Unbelievable. A year ago, he said they had the transmission out of that car about 6 times between clutch and transmission issues. This year, it came out the other night after qualifying just to check the clutch, put it back together. It was good to go. He has had one heck of a week. He's going to cap it off with back-to-back.
Back-to-back, and unless somebody does something magical on this last lap, 2 fast laps in a row, a track record. What a weekend for Chris Schaafsma as he comes up and defends for the gold in the National Championship in H production. And here comes the man in this class. Steve Sargis is going to earn a 22nd medal total here in the runoffs for Steve Sargis as he comes through. And here comes Chris Albin. This is an absolutely wonderful story.
It really is, because Chris been at this a long time. We talk about that car has gone into the trees, and it's been everywhere. It's been out. It was up on jacks getting new parts on it this week, thanks to Chris Schaafsma and Chris Albin to bring that thing home on the podium. That is incredible. He is a deeply rooted SCCA guy, top to bottom. His daughter's part of SCCA. She's here at track, I'm sure, going nuts, jumping up and down. Andy's going crazy. Chris did a great job bringing that home on the podium. And wow, we got a runner down going into Hog Pen.
Yeah, Jerry Olison it just got away from him coming down the roller coaster here. And he had a spin earlier. It's been a rough race for the very experienced driver. But Vesa Silegren and then Mike Ogren, then Will Perry just missing on the top 5. And then here comes these two guys have been going at it for most of the race. And Angers Chrome is going to hang on that number 42 with the lime green numbers. Or is he over Gauper? Gauper got a great run out of Hog Pen. He's in the tow. He's going to try and pop. Can he make anything happen here? The former gold medalist not going to be able to get it done. Still in all, up into the top 10 with an 8th place finisher. Gauper, a 7th place finish for Chrome.
Yep, I'm waiting for that 9th and 10th battle to come through because the Benezics, father and son, are in that position. But this guy right here, Chris Schaafsma, absolute class of the field, a classy guy. I tell you, he deserves every bit of this. He worked super hard with them to even make what was already a fast car an even faster one, and he's just an awesome driver to get this done.
You bet. Just a solid race here. And he's shown he can get it done in any kind of weather condition as well. And that's a big deal. Okay, you're fast in the wet, but sometimes the car maybe isn't quite as good in the dry or whatever. It's a beauty, and he's driven it incredibly well for 2 straight years.
Oh, yeah. It's 2 awesome years. Had a great one-on-one battle with Sargis. And this is still going 2 wildly different cars.
I was going to say, it's the 98 of Michael Miller and the 53 of Edward Wary. And look at the difference in size of these cars. And they finished door to door on the track after 15 laps of racing. That's the magic of this new era, if you will, of the production classes. With the old cars, the full prod, and then the limited builds, and really cool. But Schaafsma, and the work at the top of the show, Hayward talking about all the work he's done on that car to lighten it up and really get it to work. Well, it sure dialed up and has been very effective. And again, 2nd year in a row, Chris Schaafsma, your national champion. Steve Sargis, another medal. Chris Albin in 3rd spot for the bronze. Silegren up to 4th. Ogren 5th. Then Perry, Chrome, Gauper, and Rick Benezic and Scott Heilman. That's how it finished at the end. Is Heilman got Matthew Benezic on the last lap and just ticked him out of that top 10.
Yeah, Chris Schaafsma. Last year his car number was 20. This year he came in, knew the bullseye was on his back, ran the number 1, and backed it up.
And that is special indeed. As we said, it's tough enough to win one of these. To back it up is really remarkable. And that has been what a guy named Chris Schaafsma, as he makes his way in. Look at that, helmet off already. Look at the grin. And we're going to get it down to Hayward right now. This is a special one, Hayward.
We're getting Chris all the champion accoutrement here. The gold medal, the hat, the Hoosier neckband. Chris, last year you had to work pretty darn hard on the track for this one. How much of this one was doing the work between last year and now?
I think that's really the story. My team that helps me, just volunteering their time, did such a great job helping us find a little bit more in every part of the car. Made it much easier for me to drive than it has been in years past. And I knew that if we could just have a clean race, I could really compete. So I'm super happy, super proud of my team. Chuck Mathis, Andy Whittle, Steve Scheifler, Tim Garner, Jeff Mathis. There's others I'm forgetting right now, I'm sure, but they worked so hard all year, and the car was a dream to drive.
I'm looking at your onboard right here. You see that your best time was a 2:14.6. Does that mean anything to you?
Well, I mean, that's a new track record. So.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yep. I kind of wanted to try to get that this year. I saw I had it early, but the track kind of opened up near the end. I figured I'd push one more time and see what came out of it, and it was a nice lap.
Well, congratulations to you, sir, winning in dominating fashion. Enjoy your victory lap.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, what a drive. And how about Hayward throwing in a little French? Yeah, wrapping this up here in the final day with some aplomb. Well done. But, Schaafsma, just today on rails was absolutely untouchable, and just a great job. And it's really, really special on this cool down lap when it becomes that victory lap, and you get to wave at those workers and everybody here in the stands as well. Let's get back down to Hayward for the rest of our podium.
Steve, I'm sure you'd rather have the gold, but how does the 22nd runoffs podium of your career feel?
Well, I'm glad you guys are keeping count, because I don't count those, but it feels pretty good. I've had some bad luck at Virginia. I love the track, but it hasn't been kind to me, so I'm glad it stayed together and everything went pretty well. I just lost this draft at the beginning. The other two, the Honda and the Volkswagen, got ahead of me, and I tried to get around him as quick as I could to stay with this draft, but he was already out of draft range, so I knew I was pretty much in trouble then. So.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. Another impressive performance.
Thank you very much.
And while we're here, we've got Albin. Chris taking the third podium spot. We got to sit in the media center with your daughter. What do you think her demeanor was like during that race?
Probably something. Very good. I'm happy to be here.
So you got basically first couple of laps there was some elbows out, but from there on it was put your head down and go?
Well, from then on it was don't screw up. That's what it was, so it's all good.
Sometimes the best strategies are the simplest strategies. Congratulations on the bronze.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's awesome.
Qualified third, finished third,
Yep.
and got the job done, as he said. Just don't make any mistakes, and he didn't. Wheeled it beautifully, and put it together. And it just because a car gets used up a little bit doesn't mean it doesn't have performance in it. Take a look at some highlights here, and it didn't take long for Schaafsma to get to the front. Here's what Sargis was talking about as Will Perry down underneath, Albin underneath, and got him out a little bit wide, froze him there. And it took him just a little bit right there. He hadn't thought about getting by Perry and finally was able to get it done there. But by then, Schaafsma already had about a 10-car length lead, and that's just going to be tough to make up.
Yeah, that was enough. Nick, here's the fit going for the wild ride and ended up having a good finish once he got it all back together.
And then this big moment here is just a little bit of an overshoot by the 38 of Scott Heilman, and did this big slide off the track, but fought his way back up into 10th.
And this group of four had a wonderful battle. Benizik, Lamana, Ogren, and of course Vesa Silegren swapping spots all along. It was really a great battle.
It was a great battle until this moment when Lamana made a really aggressive move, locked up. Right there you see Benizik lock up, and it didn't allow him to open that wheel up just a little bit, but he was going to get ticked anyway. And I'll tell you, just an amazing drive as Schaafsma comes through with a margin of victory of 16.3 seconds. And at the runoffs, that is domination.
It really is. But yeah, look at this. Get the whole crew, the guys that helped to make that car faster, along for the ride.
And the whole crew, wants to pile on board. There's only room for so many, and they're getting that great ride. Chris Schaafsma defending in the run for the gold in H production here in this 2023 version of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Its 60th inaugural running, or 60th anniversary running. Just a remarkable performance. And just want to say here a huge thank you to everybody that has tuned in. For Larry McLeod and, of course, for Hayward Wagner down in pit lane. I'm Greg Creamer. An absolutely great job here. And a big shout-out, too, for the Apex production crew. Everybody out in the sun, out on the cameras, everybody in the truck, just doing an absolutely superb job, and a fabulous job, of course, by all the volunteers. The corner work is out on track, and everybody else that makes this happen. What a treat. And watching Chris Schaafsma on that lap of honor here at Virginia International Raceway. And folks, that's going to wrap up my stint here. It is going to be John Phippen taking you through the end. Once again, it has been an absolute honor as well as a serious pleasure to be part of the broadcast team here and bring you the coverage of these wonderful races at the runoffs here at Virginia International Raceway. It's an absolute delight. I am done, but I just wanted to say thanks for everybody, and I'm heading down to grab me a Buzz Frap from Buzz's Coffee, the best coffee in a racetrack anywhere, and watch some race cars for a while. Folks, it's just a treat for me, one of my absolute favorite events, and thank you once again, one and all, for listening and for the opportunity.
Mazda's been very supportive of racers within the SCCA and all the other grassroots organizations for many, many years. Really, their support for racing and our type of racing is unmatched from any other manufacturer. They've been a great partner for many, many years.
Mazda, hands down, is the best company to work with for sports car racing. Factory support is second to none. It just feels right. You feel connected.